Have you ever felt like, well, just a bit of a social mismatch? Like your mind is just a little too intense, maybe too fast, or just way too densely layered for casual everyday situations? If so, you are definitely not alone. For a lot of highly analytical or deep-thinking people, walking into a typical social setting can literally feel like trying to run advanced software on totally outdated hardware. So what do? You end up masking your intelligence or kind of downplaying your curiosity just to make the conversation flow smoothly. But today, we're unpacking a really fascinating psychological dynamic that flips that entire narrative completely on its head. We're going to explore why that intellectual intensity you might have been hiding all these years is actually an incredibly powerful, deeply magnetic force.
So, are you too much to handle? You might have spent years, maybe even your whole life, thinking people were intimidated by you because your brain moves just a bit too fast. Society, it often conditions us to believe that being too analytical or overthinking is somehow a social flaw. You've probably been told to lighten up or to stop overanalyzing every single little detail. But what if we completely reframed that? What if that lifelong feeling of having a highly active, incessantly curious brain isn't a burden at all, but a rare and highly magnetic asset? Because here's the truth. There's a very specific type of person who isn't running away from that intensity. In fact, no, they are actively seeking it out.
Enter sapiosexuality. This is a form of attraction where someone is genuinely addicted to the way your mind works. They value intellect, cognitive depth, and the actual architecture of your thoughts way over mere physical appearance. And the science of attraction behind this, it's absolutely incredible. Neurologically speaking, when a sapiosexual engages in deep, stimulating conversation, their brain releases dopamine and oxytocin in the exact same pathways that typical physical attraction triggers. So the cognitive stimulation literally translates into a physiological pull. The right people aren't intimidated by your depth. Their nervous systems are genuinely wired to be turned on by it. They lean right in, wanting to map out every single corner of your mind.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today's explainer. 1. Decoding sapiosexual attraction. 2. Syncing with cognitive pacing. 3. Observation and emotional gravity. 4. Depth and cognitive flexibility. And 5. The ultimate mindset shift. We'll be breaking down the 5 defining signs of intellectual attraction, moving from how minds sync up to the really subtle emotional cues that give it all away.
Section 1. Decoding sapiosexual attraction. For many high IQ individuals, feeling entirely misunderstood is just a standard Tuesday, especially when your natural desire to unpack the complexities of the universe directly clashes with a surface-level Friday night out.
Moving on to Section 2, Syncing with Cognitive Pacing. Let's explore what happens when someone actually matches your speed. Complex cognitive processing is essentially the psychological ability to follow and match layered, multidimensional thinking without losing interest. Think about what usually happens when you start going down a rabbit hole in a normal conversation, right? Usually the other person's eyes glaze over or they awkwardly change the subject to something a bit more digestible. But when someone is attracted to your mind, they don't hit the brakes. They do the exact opposite. They completely sync with your mental frequency. If you're rapidly switching contexts, let's say you're jumping from a theory about artificial intelligence to a tiny nuance in human psychology, and then connecting both of those back to a movie you watched last week, they are right there with you. They absolutely thrive on that rapid context switching. They don't need you to give them the mundane preamble. They want to jump straight into the deep end of the what-ifs. When they eagerly track your abstract thoughts instead of getting exhausted by them, they're showing you that your cognitive depth is exactly the wavelength they have been trying to tune into all along.
Which brings us to Section 3, Observation and Emotional Gravity.
Look, we live in a world trapped in a modern dopamine loop of constant scrolling. Attention spans are totally fractured, and people are physically present, but mentally, miles and miles away. Well, high interpersonal sensitivity is the ultimate antidote to that. This is the practice of active, hyper-focused observation. While the rest of the world is distracted by their next push notification, a person who is intellectually attracted to you is practicing profound presence. They are completely fascinated by the invisible bridges your mind builds between seemingly unrelated ideas. But they aren't just listening to your words, they are heavily studying your micro-behaviors. They notice the specific way you pause before answering a really difficult question. They observe how you scan a room, how your eyes literally light up when you hit a breakthrough in your logic, or that subtle shift in your tone when you talk about something you're just deeply passionate about. Basically, they're actively decoding the architecture of your personality while you are busy decoding the external world. Now, what's really interesting here is emotional gravity. It's one of the most compelling signs of this dynamic. Truly intelligent, self-aware people very often possess this quiet kind of power. It's a remarkably stable, centered energy that doesn't need to be loud or performative to command a room. When someone is drawn to your mind, you'll notice they naturally start to orbit this calm energy. Neurologically, this is where mirror neurons come into play.
Mirror neurons are brain cells that react both when a particular action is performed and when it's simply observed. When this person is around your grounded intellectual energy, their mirror neurons subconsciously lock onto your emotional baseline. They're literally using your physical and cognitive presence to down-regulate and reset their own nervous system. Your intelligence makes them feel psychologically safe. It's exactly why they might tell you they just feel peaceful around you. Your mental depth acts as a total emotional anchor in an otherwise completely chaotic world.
All right, Section 4, Depth and Cognitive Flexibility.
Let's be honest, there is a massive mental drain that comes with standard small talk. For a fast-moving brain, reciting the mundane details of your day or, discussing the weather isn't just boring, it feels genuinely exhausting. Sapiosexuals understand this completely. They have a really strong preference for cognitive quiet and deep ideas. They always choose quality over societal ritual. Because they know you find those surface-level highlight reels draining, they happily bypass them entirely to offer what psychology calls diversified stimulation. Instead of asking how your commute was, they're going to ask a question that genuinely requires you to think. They want to know your perspective on free will, or how you'd solve a complex societal problem, or what you think happens at the very edge of the universe. They aren't trying to make polite conversation at all. They're trying to create a shared intellectual sandbox where both of your ideas can grow, collide, and expand.
And that brings us directly to cognitive flexibility. This is the psychological ability to update your beliefs based on new, incoming evidence. It is absolutely the hallmark of a truly advanced intellect. But here's the really fascinating paradox. Highly intelligent people often suffer from what looks a lot like imposter syndrome, precisely because they possess so much intellectual humility. You're acutely aware of the vast ocean of things you do not yet know, right? Which makes you hesitant to claim absolute certainty. Now, to the average observer, this hesitation might be misinterpreted as insecurity or self-doubt. But to someone who is intellectually attracted to you, this cognitive flexibility is incredibly magnetic. They recognize that a rigid mind is a fragile mind, while a flexible mind is powerful, resilient, and deeply, deeply intriguing.
Think about hearing phrases like, "I was wrong," or "I need to learn more about that." What do you immediately think? In a lot of highly competitive social or professional spaces, admitting a gap in your knowledge is unfortunately treated as a vulnerability. But a sapiosexual does not see a weakness when you say these things. Absolutely not. They see a mind that is a dynamic, evolving work in progress, rather than some stubborn, closed book. They see someone who values the pursuit of objective truth way more than just protecting their own ego. That inherent willingness to recalibrate your worldview in real time, based on new data, is the ultimate sign of a highly adaptable, open mind. It signals to them that a partnership with you won't be some frustrating battle of rigid egos. Instead, it'll be an endless, highly collaborative journey of intellectual discovery.
And finally, Section 5, the ultimate mindset shift.
So what's the big takeaway here? Intelligence isn't just about what you know, it's about how you see the world. If you take anything away from this explainer, please let it be this. When someone is genuinely attracted to your mind, they aren't looking for a walking encyclopedia. They aren't looking for someone to just recite facts or win Friday night trivia. They're looking for a true partner to explore the infinite what-ifs of life with. For years, you might have felt this intense pressure to dim your intellectual light, to simplify your thoughts, or to hold back your complex theories just to fit in at the dinner table. Well, it is time to stop apologizing for the way your brain works. Your mind is an incredible, complex, and deeply fascinating space to explore, and you should never, ever have to hide it just to make someone else feel comfortable.
Which leaves us with this final, provocative thought to sit with. Who has been watching your glow all along? You see, the signs of sapiosexual attraction are often quiet and deeply subtle. They're mirroring your thoughtful pauses, they're actively seeking out your cognitive quiet, and they're effortlessly syncing with your mental pacing. These signals are absolutely there in your life, right now, if you just know what to look for. So, embrace your depth, stay smart, stay intensely curious, and keep decoding the mind.